Hey, Rodney, 2024 was Alvin Kamara's career high with 950 rushing yards. He's had 932. He's had 898, 883. But yards from scrimmage, he had 1493 last year. His high is 1668 with 21 touchdowns. He's a dual threat. And early in his career, because he was drafted a year before same year as Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey was top 10 that year, one of the last guys taken before Patrick Mahomes. Kamara went later in the draft. The Saints were very adamant behind the scenes because they're two teams in the same division, Panthers and Saints, and Christian McCaffrey's a superstar, and they would send out, look, per touch, Kamara's better. He just doesn't get the ball as often as Christian McCaffrey. And there was a time where they were right. His impact per touch was bigger than Christian McCaffrey's. They just never, under Sean Payton, had that let's go all in with one guy. So Kamara's still got gas in the tank. And I still think they make a few changes, things can be good. And number one issue, Rodney, is quarterback. Here's Kellen Moore on Derek Carr, who's under contract, but they can escape it before the later part of March coming up in just a few weeks. Here's Moore on Carr.
Yeah, Derek's a tremendous quarterback in this league. I've had so much respect for him, the journey that he's been on. He's a starter in this league. He's a premier player in this league. Really excited to team up with him and go through this process. And so just like any player on this roster, I just got here a few days ago, and I'm excited to go through this journey with all of them.
Doesn't sound like a guy that's thinking about moving on from Derek Carr, even though they have that out. And, Rodney, here we are a few days in. It's coach speak, but if he didn't want Derek Carr, there's another way to say it that sounds positive, but if you read between the lines, we have to evaluate everything. I just got here. That's all you have to say. I just got here.
How much is he making, Mike? How much is Derek Carr making this year? How much is his salary cap?
It's going to be $40 million in total salary this year, but they can avoid $30 million of it if they cut him by the middle of March. Now, his hand injury has to be healed. If it's not healed, they can't cut him. But I have thought this is a potential move that they could make. And, Rodney, here's my point. I've been keeping an eye on the possibility that they're going to bring in John Gruden as the offensive coordinator. I have no reason to think it's going to happen. I haven't heard that they're talking to him. But we're a few days into this now. We haven't heard who the offensive coordinator is going to be. You got to get a staff together. The scouting combine's coming up. And Gruden would make sense because he coached Carr to some of his best performances with the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm just kind of watching that because if they're going to keep Carr, they need somebody who can get more out of Carr. And Gruden could get more out of Carr if he'd come back and be an offensive coordinator. And I don't know why he wouldn't. He'd love to get back in the game. And I think the Saints believe they could pull it off despite the things that caused John Gruden to have to walk away a few years ago.
Yeah, and I'll just tell you this. I'm not paying Derek Carr $40 million. I'm not doing that. There's no way. Even after coming off of last year, I know he was injured. He missed some time, but I'm not paying that guy that type of money. And Kellen Moore was brought in to give this offensive spark. They got some offensive players, but at the end of the day, the quarterback position, if you keep Derek Carr within the division, you have the worst quarterback in the division. I still think Baker Mayfield is better than him. I think Bryce Young is really starting to ascend. And I think Michael Penix is going to continue to get better and grow with the Atlanta Falcons. Thing about the Atlanta Falcons is they have a pass game. They have a run game. They have a good offensive line. So they don't have to really necessarily build. They can add an extra weapon on the offensive side, but on the defensive side of the ball, that's where the Atlanta Falcons are at. But within the division, I still believe these three quarterbacks that I'm talking about will be ultimately better than Derek Carr.
So just to summarize today's show, Rodney hates Aaron Rodgers and Derek Carr. If you're joining us late,
no, I don't.
I'm kidding. I wondered how you were going to take that. I wondered how you were going to respond.
I'm just playing GM. You think about it. I mean, this is what we do. I'm sitting here and you asking me, would you pay Derek Carr $40 million? There's no way, because I'm not getting to the playoffs. I'm not winning 8 games with Derek Carr. I just don't believe that they're that close with Derek Carr and paying him that type of money. Reassess the payment and reallocate that money or those resources to the offensive line, to the defensive side of the ball. Get you another safety, get you another defensive back, go get you a pass rusher. That's what the Saints need. They need more on their roster. They're too old on the defensive side of the ball, Mike.
And when you already have a cap problem, if you can save $30 million with the stroke of a pen, and you aren't a believer in Derek Carr, you do it. That's why I'm intrigued by the whole John Gruden side of this, because if you're going to keep him, you got to get more out of him, and I think Gruden could do it. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.